Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Kinolime Roundtable. Today, we have three amazing guests that have decided to join us to talk about one of my favorite screenplays from this year's competition, Cooperville. So let's get right into it and hop into the chat. I'm just going to go based on the Zoom names. Cat Street, say hello.
Hello.
All right, we got Jack Jones. He's coming in from across the pond.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, I just want to say, every time I hear you speak, like, you sound like you're from London. From Forgetting Sarah
I've got
Marshall.
like a mug of tea and everything.
Exactly. That's it. I love it. And we got Lee Foundation. Lee, I don't know where you reside at the moment.
Right. No, I live in Dallas, Texas. I am from St. Louis, Missouri. I moved here about almost like 12, 11 years ago, getting acclimated. But yes, screenwriter. I just got into that officially, professionally as of last year. So it's been exciting.
Congratulations. Congrats. And Texas, of all places. I love Dallas. Have some family that lived in McKinney. Yeah, McKinney's cool. All right, let's get into it. We're going to talk about Cooperville. And look, this is when this came in on our side during our submission period in this last year's competition. I mean, the premise. Can we talk about the premise for a second? I mean, this is like, it reminds me a lot of Weapons in a way. And obviously this, I read before Weapons came out, in something so great and so like, oh, where does this go? Like, we need more bold premises like this. So I just want to ask, like, what stood out to you about the premise and like the writing? You know, I'd love to hear your guys' take on the screenplay as a whole, but we'll start with Kat.
I've known Andre since film school, and that was like over 20 years ago.
Okay.
Reading this, I was like, this is a very Andre script in that there is a line that you don't cross, and he hops over and he's like, hey, where's that line? Let's go. As far as the premise goes, I loved this premise because it was such an interesting like take on the social experiment of it all. And then when you finally get into the why and everything, then it becomes like, oh, a lot deeper. But I love playing around with just like breaking down people and seeing who they really are, which is what Andre really perfectly explores in this.
Sure.
In this script.
Oh, I didn't know you had some inside info with Andre. That's very cool.
Yes. Yes, he was like a year under me, I believe.
Oh, okay. Jack Jones, what do you think about the premise? I know you're a documentary filmmaker, but you also love movies. Like, tell us your reaction to the premise.
Yeah, I mean, I heard about Mira, my friend who is a writer involved with Kinolime, and he pitched it to me and said it would be my kind of thing, and it definitely was something. When I first heard the concept, I just couldn't quite picture it, like what that actually meant, the shrunken world and everything, and how that would pay off. But I think the writing is just so unrelenting. Like, it just like goes from the start and it never really pauses and stops, and manages to be like funny and then terrifying and then thrilling and a mystery, and it manages to just like move through all these beats like continuously, and it's a really entertaining way of talking about these wider societal issues with
Sure.
people in America.
Lee, what were your thoughts?
As a writer, I believe it's important and imperative, and I mentioned this earlier to you guys, but we need to say something. I love things that say things that have a message. And I feel like this film does a good job of really revealing a truth about what it means to be Black in this country and in the world in a lot of ways. Lots of momentum in the premise, as stated by Jack. It doesn't let up. It's relentless. It's unapologetic. And I think those are the best stories. I mean, the human experience is unapologetic. And I would even go as far as to say it does a good job of even, and this is me being, because I'm kind of twisted, but, and this, my perspectives are very much so out there, but I feel like it does a good job, honestly, of portraying how God feels about being God to us. Like, I don't think, I think God is more twisted and kind of diabolical in its own idea. If you really think about life as it is, that's kind of like, I feel like it does a good job of portraying how God really truly sees and feels about itself and in relation to us as far as what we experience as being human. Just broad strokes.
That is a fascinating topic that we don't have 3 days to go into because that could just be a conversation that never ends. That sounds like we should be out in Palm Springs or Palm Desert, Death Valley chatting about this. To be quite honest with you, I loved. Look, I'm a fan of great writing, and I always talk about this. There's two ways there's more than two ways, but you can view films as like inside out, right, where it's internal about the characters, and then you build the film from the inside out. Or you have these movies that are outside in. You have this great premise, and then you go internal. And this to me is a classic outside in screenplay story where it's like you come up with the craziest premise imaginable, and then you build the world from outside in. And like these are some of the most satisfying, and they've equated to like the bigger blockbuster films, that have the great hooks. So Andre crushed it with this in this world. I would love then to now start bringing it into the characters side. What did everybody feel about the four protagonists? Like, did you latch on to anyone in particular? Was there anything that stood out to you in terms of the characters? Because we know how great the premise and the world is, but let's shrink it down into you like what I did there, Lee? Shrink it down to the character side. So we'll start with Lee this time.
So my favorite character, all right, and this just goes back to me as a writer too. Nothing makes a movie better to me, honestly, than the bad guy. To me. The villain of the story is the guy that creates the story in the first place. I always say, like, if a movie always had just heroes and everyone doing things, nothing would really happen. It'll be the most boring movie ever. The villain is the initiator. He kickstarts everything. You need him for life. You need the devil to have God, right? Goes back to that part. So love Mosquito Man. I love the motive. I love monologues. I love it when a villain has great monologues and breaks down things. Because I do that too to people as far as when I explain me to people. Love that. Really love the Mosquito Man, if I'm being honest.
Sure. And for all you writers out there, what Lee's kind of referring to is that your movie is only as good as your villain, as your antagonist. So, you need that Joker to complement the Batman, right? And you need Mosquito Man to complement the four characters here. Kat, what did you think about the four protagonists and specifically our heroes? And who did you latch on to? What were your thoughts?
I was a little bit interested in Christian.
Mm-hmm. What a sad demise.
I didn't get that much info about him, but he just seemed like such a nice guy.
Yeah, he popped on the page. Yeah.
Hold on for a second. Let me just double check. Christian is the guy who's linked to Mosquito Man, right? Or was it the other guy?
That's Garrett.
No, Garrett. That's Garrett. What I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Garrett is who I'm thinking about. Sorry.
Christian was the guy that got sniped by the cat.
Yeah.
Wild.
That was crazy.
This cat came in.
It was Garrett who I connected with. Because there was that moment like at the end of his existence where he's just like, she was right. And I wanted to know, like, what does he mean? What does she mean she's right? But like, I like the idea of him being like not really a fighter. He's not one, and then like being put in this situation, being pushed to defend himself and to like stand up for himself, and like seeing like what needs to happen to get somebody who's ultimately kind of a pacifist to a point where they have to like start fighting. And so I would have loved to see that exploration a little bit more with him. So that's what made me curious. But I do love Mosquito Man as well.
I know who doesn't love Mosquito Man. His character is a little reminiscent. If anyone has seen or read Lord of the Flies, I forget the character's name. Is it Porky? Is it Pudge? Piggy. Piggy's character. Same thing. Jack, who was your favorite character out of everybody in Cooperville?
I mean, out of everyone, it's got to be Mosquito Man. But I think when I found out that Mosquito Man is black, it just like that moment, just like I just did not see that coming whatsoever, and I thought that was so smart,
smart,
and just represented just a whole different angle of the themes and the everything it was talking about in a way that is just so simple. but so effective. Out of the guys, yeah, I mean, I really found the main protagonist like attitudes quite strong and quite, I kind of got their vibes from them. Especially Garrett is a really like he's quite a smart character, and he feels like he's quite read up on everything and the issues and everything. But by the end, towards he starts to even get broken down by this world that they're put in at one point. But yeah, I'd love to, in further drafts hear more about more specifically who they are and what their relationships are to each other and things. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
And can I just
please.
interrupt for a second? There was something that you said earlier, John, about like the going from the outside and going in.
Hmm.
I think to yes and that one thing about this script that was so beautiful is that it's a high concept kind of thing, and you go in where you kind of see what's going on there. But I think that there is like a lot of like character, like a lot of beefy character work in here where you do in some ways emotionally connect to maybe Mosquito Man. In some ways you hate him.
Sure.
You don't like him. Maybe you understand him, which is what you're supposed to do anyway. But the outside looking in. But I think the thing that makes this script so great is that you then, after reading it, at least for me, start thinking about yourself and
Sure.
start thinking about like society of like, was he right? Like thinking about like he's got a point. And I think that's also what makes a great villain is like somebody who um who has maybe the right intentions
Yes.
or like the right intentions but goes about it the wrong way. Like
Sure. Well,
in
that's
this
what
case,
makes
it's
it
like an activist, but
so compelling. Yeah, like if he was just 1 degree to the left, he could have been a great, like you said, activist or something. But because they're 1 degree to the right, I always say this with villains too. I might be dating myself, but like, has everyone seen Michael Bay's movie The Rock with Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery? So like
Yeah.
the Ed Harris character, he's right. He's like right to take over actors. Like, my men went to like these special ops and they were like disregarded by their country. And now he's doing something. And it's that you like get him. He's doing it the wrong way, but like you understand him. And I think that's what makes the great villains. Even like, Heath Ledger's Joker, right? You like understand why he wants chaos, and you don't have to agree with it, but you have to understand it. And I think like, yeah, Benson slash Mosquito Man makes a really great argument for why he believes in it, and thus makes him way more compelling than your average villain. I think that's what truly stands out to me about Cooperville outside of the premise. For all you writers out there, that work on your antagonist, like really, really, really work on that person or that thing or that entity, because that's really what's going to carry your film forward. And you hear it, proof in the pudding. Everyone on this call is talking about Mosquito Man. So I think that's just a really good writing tip to really spend as much time on your hero as your villain. Now we've spoken all about the great stuff about Cooperville. I would love to talk a little bit about, and what we do here at Kinolime is always trying to improve story and tell the best stories possible. What are some constructive criticisms of the screenplay? I know, Kat, you're a little, you're friends with Andres. We're going to try and, think outside the box there. But we'll start with Jack. Jack, what was something in the screenplay that you maybe thought was a missed opportunity, constructive criticism, something to help elevate this great screenplay even to another sphere?
I liked the detective characters, and I liked the sort of how detectiveness it is, and the like. I have a hunch. There's a young guy who is just like he's a crazy old fool, but he's like I see the pattern, and I love that in movies, and I love like that it grounds it in kind of like a genre quite heavily. But outside of
Very
that, I
good.
didn't know really. I felt like I didn't get much of a reason why he suddenly why Thompson realizes so suddenly that that people are
Yes.
being drunk and put into jars, and I think it's possible for us to take that leap with him, but I think you could kind of solve two problems there by telling us more about Thompson and his background and everything and how he would possibly come to conceive of such an idea, maybe an old case or something that's
Sure.
haunted him,
It's a fair point. It's a
and then
fair
he
point.
comes to this conclusion because, yeah.
I had the same. I bumped on the same thing. Kat, any constructive criticisms or missed opportunities to improve the screenplay?
Yeah, I have a. You want me to pick one? 'Cause I have a few things. If
Yeah,
I
whatever
can.
you feel like sharing.
Sorry, Andre, but he knows this. He's
He knows
already.
it. It's fine.
So first off, to talk about what Jack was talking about with Thompson, one thing I thought would be really interesting because I think one of my main issues with this script was that the protagonists, like those four people, as well as the detectives, like they're not completely fleshed out, like to the point where you connect with anybody. Like Garrett, I connected with because I was like, okay, I can see a little bit. I could see some opportunity there. But like for example, Thompson, I feel like there's an opportunity for him be to almost be like the yin to Benson's yang in a way
Sure.
where like maybe he was also bullied or maybe he also had that experience and he took a different path so he
Sure.
understands
Yes.
this person and that's how
Yep.
he can kind of go like, oh, it's this guy right
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
know this guy, I got beat up too. I can see
Hmm.
this is what I would do if I were crazy. I
Sure.
would do something
Yeah.
like this. So that was like one thing. It's just like overall, just like I feel like the characters could use some like if you want us to emotionally connect to them, like if you're going to talk about Get Out, like Chris,
Sure.
we
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or like the other thing with Benson specifically, because I love him so much and I think that there's such a good opportunity there with him. Under, I guess for me, when reading this, I was like, ooh, I don't know how Black people are going to respond to this movie because it's because I understand him. Like you can understand like, okay, if you're being bullied by a certain group of people, you start to hate these people to like a crazy amount to a crazy degree. And
Mm.
this he's just escalating this and and he's expanding this a bit. So it would be interesting to see how like are there people that Benson likes?
Hmm.
See if there's anybody he likes. We don't see any person that he maybe sympathizes with. Like if he
Hmm.
sees another kid bully, like does he
Sure.
like how would he respond? How would he react to that? Just see
Hmm.
putting him in like little situations where it brings like a little bit of humanity to him, so
Sure.
he's completely diabolical.
Hmm.
Therefore, you love and hate him still.
Yes. Still, fair point.
Yeah,
Thank
those are
you.
my. I think those are my big ones, and then also like the controversy of like the missing people, which is like a big societal,
Yep.
thing as far as like Black people being, going missing and not that investigation not really happening. I think that there might be like a couple more opportunities there to really drive that home.
That's another point. I had the same thing. Yeah, like what's going on in
Yeah,
the world that makes this so why now, or for the story, for the characters as well. Like, yeah, I think that's a very fair point.
I
yeah,
think a great scene where that could be explored more is this where Thompson goes to visit the mother of a missing
Hmm.
child, and she's talking about like, oh, these like they don't care about my daughter, they only care about these white kids. And I think Thompson in that scene could very much like be like, because he does agree with her, like he's keeping his mouth shut in the scene to the badge, but I think at that point he can actually let loose and be like, I agree with you, like
Yep. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I care about your kid.
Yeah,
And
like
I
it
think
would be good to have like one more like coda or something to like tie
Sure.
that off because it was such a heartbreaking
Oh
like
yeah.
storyline like to
Moment for sure.
so
Lee, what some criticisms or missed opportunities you felt could benefit the screenplay?
Just my outside of just little technical things with some of the dialogue, because I'm a big dialogue guy. That's like one of my things I've had to learn to kind of pull back on because I love to just talk because I'm a talkative person. But the language and the dialogue, I felt, and I think this leans into Kat's kind of point where the characters aren't fleshed out. Their voices weren't distinct enough to me.
Great point. Great
Um,
point.
a lot of them sounded like the same person talking.
Yes.
And when you write Black people and Black characters, there are many different types of us that say different things depending upon background, cultural upbringing, whether you're hood or not, whether you're ghetto or not, whether you read or not. Like, and those things are harder to convey in a script. Like, even with my movie, I had to learn, like, all right, this guy's articulate, he never doesn't come from the hood, so he would speak correctly, while this guy doesn't, or he uses slang. So I felt like it could be blacker, quote unquote, in some points as far as that part. And then, yes, show that, yes, we can read, we're intelligent, we can verbalize, we can use all that well.
Sure.
But I feel like they should be more distinct in the dialogue.
That's a great point. And I want to tell to the writers at home, make your characters distinctive. I think what Lee's saying right now is a great point. And you see this a lot in screenplays, is everyone kind of talks the same, or they're not distinctive enough. You want them to separate, because look, there's a lot of characters in a screenplay. You might lose like who's who, but if you remember the cadence, the nuances, the idiosyncratic ways that they speak will really help your reader latch onto your plot a bit more and your characters by identifying them quickly by speech and cadence. So Lee, that's a great point. Really appreciate you bringing that up. All right, well, we're at our last question of the day, and I'd love to know, as all writers on this call, and for the writers at home watching, or people that are interested in writing, what lessons did you take away from reading the screenplay, processing the screenplay for your own creative process? Lee, we'll start with you.
Good question, man. So as I spoke earlier, I'm working with Mira, working with you guys at Kinolime, like your notes and you guys' constructive criticism has amplified my writing ability significantly. And I feel one of the things I got from this script specifically is to be more descriptive. I think as you write, describing your character as they're coming in. I often forget to do that. I just like to get to it, right? But sure. I think that's important. Definitely distinct voices for characters. That's something that I learned from you guys that I felt could be put into this. And I also thought it was really cool how we creatively would have like the character name and the dialogue box on the same line. Like,
okay. Yeah.
That way it's like I can tell, oh, he's communicating that they're speaking at the same time without saying that's happening.
Yep.
So he creatively found a way to kind of convey that without having to, as they speak together at the same time. Yeah, it's just like, it just is, you know?
Yeah.
So I definitely took that and I'm going to put that. So like being creative with the delivery of what you're reading, I think was something I took from it for sure.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words, Lee. We really appreciate that. Jack, what'd you take away from reading the screenplay for your own creative process?
Yeah, I mean, I had the screenplay kind of open while I was going through it, and I was actually working on one of my screenplays like at the same time, kind of like bouncing back between windows, and I writing a short film for the Kinolime contest. But I immediately, like while I was reading it, was like I looked back at my own script and I was just like, this isn't fast enough. This is like, he has such a great brevity. I like spent like this much of a page describing a character, and like Andre like does it in like this line, but it's just like, oh yeah, that's exactly who this person is, and I don't need to like go along waffling on. It's just the writing and the descriptions and the action in the way he writes is so entertaining.
Great, it's a great one. And then lastly, Kat, what'd you take away from your reading screenplay for your own creative process?
So one thing I love about Andre is his relentlessness. And that's what I want to bring into my scripts, is just to be more relentless and not to be, I'm a little kind to my characters.
Don't be.
I would love to really start doing more of just like abusing them, like going back to the whole God thing.
Just abuse them. Just do
like
it.
Throw them. Like, I love whenever I do put characters up in a tree and just start throwing rocks at them. Like, I want to throw boulders at them, and I think that Andre does that so well. Just like throwing boulders, he'll throw a building at them. He'll throw whatever.
Throw an elephant-sized cat at them. I think that'll work. It'll do wonders for your screenplay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I need. I just need big cats because,
That's it. I love that scene. Thank you so much for joining us today on a Kinolime Roundtable. Cooperville, like I said, got through the process. Made it all the way into the top 3 in our last competition. We all love the screenplay. We can't wait to see what we can do with it here at Kinolime. We love that everyone here loved it and had some great thoughts and notes for it. And we appreciate Andre for writing such a great screenplay. So Jack, Lee, Kat, thank you for joining us today. And for John Trem here at Kinolime, wanted to say thank you for all tuning in. We really appreciate it, as always. And any questions, comments, like us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube, whatever the whole social media rigmarole is. Please follow us because we got some great content. We have great guests all the time. And I just want to say thank you so much. And thank you all for joining.
you very much.
Thank you very much.